two are headed for the edge of sanity. Like we were apparitions, phantoms. Trust gave way to doubt. Hope to superstition. Tragedy of the Essex is the story of men and a demon.
Wow, Chris Hemsworth sure is busy these days. Yes, it seems even if old Marvel doesn't have any faith in a Thor 3, nor do I think they should, the rest of Hollywood is still willing to take a gamble with Mr. Hemsworth, who certainly does look every inch the movie star, even if he has yet to really deliver movie star box office. I think his biggest non-Marvel hit to date, his only non-Marvel hit to date, is Snow White and the Huntsman, but I think Charlize Theron had a lot to do with the success there of that film, and also the whole fairy tale, live-action fairy tale trend played into that heavily. This reminds me a lot of Rush. Now, I loved Rush. It was one of my 3 favorite films of last year, and this, of course, sees Chris Hemsworth reteaming with Ron Howard, who directed that movie. And Rush was really, I think, such an incredible achievement, just not only as a film itself, but in terms of Ron Howard's career. He really was at the top of his game. As I said when I reviewed it, that he was he was directing as if for the first time, as if he was an indie director with something to prove, not one of the most well-known names in Hollywood, which of course Ron Howard is. But he's run into some trouble with his career, and he almost is a new director trying to prove himself. I think he proved himself quite well on Rush, but the box office and the awards circuit has something different to say about that, obviously. It wasn't much of a contender there, and I don't see this film being much of a contender. I think March is a great release date for it, because I think it's going to have a hard time of it, both with audiences and the industry in terms of the awards circuit. I also am surprised that he wouldn't reteam with Daniel Bruhl. I loved Daniel Bruhl so much in that film, in Rush. I thought he was the breakout talent. He was what really made that film rev its engines, and he just has really gotten nothing out of it, which is so disappointing. I guess the Fifth Estate really cooled off his reputation in Hollywood, which unfortunately came out around the same time as Rush, but I really feel that Daniel Bruhl should have gotten more out of the film. But Chris Hemsworth seems to be the only one doing a semi-victory lap. Now, I have to say, as for this film itself, it looks beautiful, but it reminds me a lot of Master and Commander, which I'm still not over. I know some of you like to say, oh, that's a great film, and, of course, film is subjective, and I'm glad you enjoyed Master and Commander. But, you know what? It couldn't even clear $100 million in the United States. It only made a little over $200 million worldwide, and had a $150 million budget, so it came nowhere close to making its money back. Huge money loser, actually. And of course, again, not recognized even critically, and certainly not during awards season. Certainly not really any wins. So you have to wonder, what's the point of making a movie like this if it's not going to have anyone see it and no one's going to recognize it for its achievements? I do think it looks like a beautiful movie, and I became a lot more interested in it with that kind of action-y montage at the end of the trailer, where I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I've never seen whaling before. That's kind of interesting, and the way the whale's coming out of the water, that's pretty scary. But then, it makes me think that, this is a true story, but, there's a similar true story with a submarine. I believe it's called the Indianapolis, that I know that a lot of people in Hollywood are trying to make. I think Robert Downey Jr. is even circling that project, trying to get it made, although I think he's pretty busy these days, because clearly he realizes nobody wants to see him outside of the Iron Man suit after the Judge's box office. But I'm thinking, if you want to make a movie about a bunch of guys stranded in the water dealing with the harsh elements, that's your movie, The Indianapolis. Very famous story, of course, recounted in Jaws, the first Jaws, famously on the boat. But then, also when I watch this movie, I'm like, you know what? why wouldn't you just make Moby Dick? Moby Dick, there's only like this Gregory Peck version from a long time ago, certainly not with the capabilities we have today in terms of filmmaking, and I think at the very least people would be like, you know what? I should see Moby Dick. I should be familiar with the story, and I sure as heck don't want to read the book. I've read the book. It's required reading, I believe, in most educational systems. It's obviously a classic, but I think it's a very rich classic that could really benefit from a good adaptation, and I think that based on what I'm seeing here, this might be a team that could do it. So if I were the producer and Ron Howard said to me, hey, I'd like to make, well, Ron Howard produces his own movies with Brian Grazer, so I guess if I were the studio and he said, I want to make this movie about whaling, I'd be like, just go make Moby Dick. I think that, again, to quote, quickly becoming one of my favorite quotes from Inside Llewyn Davis, because it's just so on the nose, F. Murray Abraham says, I just don't see a lot of money here. And that's my chief problem with this trailer. Even though it looks beautiful, I kind of don't understand what Ron Howard is doing. I think he has all the talent, all the skill set, all the resources he could possibly want, obviously based on the way this looks, but I just don't think he's using them properly. And it's a shame to see such wonderful elements here that are really breathtaking to behold, I think not used to the best of their capabilities to reach the widest audience and to make the biggest impression. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to what you guys think. Do you think this is another Master and Commander? Is this Master and Commander 2? Only to please a few diehard fans? Or do you think this has some shot at being successful? Or do you think Ron Howard is just making another mistake after Rush, which shouldn't have been a mistake, but I think largely kind of was a mistake considering how little traction it really got for anybody involved in the picture. Alright, so thank you so much for tuning in to my trailer review. I hope you leave your own thoughts down below, and you can check out some more episodes right now.